Today we're going to try to assemble this Pittsburgh 300-pound capacity high lift riding mower / ATV jack. This is a cheap one that you can find at Harbor Freight, made by Pittsburgh Tools. I think it retails for about $90, but with a 20% coupon, you can get 18 bucks off of it. It may be on sale during certain times of the year. And this is what you're going to need if you got a riding lawnmower and you need to change your blades or do some work under the deck. And we'll see how the assembly goes. I've watched a few things on YouTube and it seems like most people get confused. But this is 2018. Some of those videos go back to 2012, 2013. Hopefully they've made it a lot simpler. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is put something down on the ground. I don't have a garage to work in. I got a yard like most people. Here's a tarp, 5 by 7 foot, maybe a little bigger. It was free at Harbor Freight. Anyone who gets coupons know what I'm talking about. So we're going to throw this on the ground and spread everything out on it so we can see what we got. I've got everything laid out on this free tarp I got from Harbor Freight. And I'm not even sure it requires any tools to put this thing together. Let's look at it. I just spread everything out. I haven't read any of the directions yet. Just spread everything out the way I figured made sense. Obviously, this is where the wheel of the lawnmower is going to drive over this round thing. This is the stop for the lawnmower wheels. You would have it set up according to your tire. Same thing over here on this side. And it looks like this bar is what all this sits on. So for right now, I'm not even going to worry about this section of the pile. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But that looks like all that's going to be part of the final assembly. Here we have the guts of the operation. I don't know the names of all these parts, but this is the frame where I'm tapping my foot. That's the part that sits on the ground. And if you're new to any kind of putting stuff together, don't get confused about these wheels sticking up in the air. You don't want the wheels touching the ground when you're trying to jack up a lawnmower. So I'm assuming that the wheels go in the up position, and the only time they would touch the ground is if you were actually trying to move your jack with no mower on it. I guess we'll see that when we get it assembled. This looks like the upright. Yeah. Well, let's get started on this thing. Let's see what the first thing is to put together. I'm raising this thing up, and I can see a hole right there at the bottom of this shaft that is supposed to attach to that bottom frame, but there's already a pin in there, so common sense tells me I need to remove that pin, stand that shaft up, and reinsert the pin. Took that pin out from the back of the base that goes on the ground, this hole in between the two wheels, and it just connected with a bolt that has a hole drilled through it, and then you got this funny looking pin that all it does is go through there. You don't have a nut to screw onto that. So we're going to stand this baby up, put the bolt in, and reattach that little safety pin. Let's see what we can do here. Up we go. Almost looked like that pin was too big for that hole. That's what she said. Okay, we got the pin or the bolt or whatever you want to call that thing all the way through the frame. We got that shaft attached, so now we're going to put that little safety clip back on there, that retainer clip. And heck, we just got started and it looks like we're halfway done. We're going to continue the march here. Sorry about this jerky camera stuff. I ain't got a tripod. I got this thing on my hat. Next thing I'm going to do is put this pump, this piston, this is the actual jack. I'm going to attach it to the base right there. There's already a pin through there, so we'll have to take that pin out, just like we did on this side. We're going to put the pump on there. For easy access, I just lifted this arm up. It doesn't go back too far, so this looks like guillotine action. Don't let your kids play around with that while you're trying to put this pin in. It might come down on your fingers or something. Okay, so I'm going to remove this pin, same way we did the one in the back. I'm going to take the piston, attach it like that, and reinsert the pin or the bolt, whatever you want to call that, and we'll see what we're going to do next. Look at here. I was just talking about this thing coming down like a guillotine, and when I went to wiggle that darn piston onto that shaft, the thing came down, hit me in the back of the head. I saw stars. If I wanted to take the trouble, I would go into the house and get probably a cable strap or something and just temporarily connect the front end of this arm to this pole right here, this upright shaft. But instead I just had a bungee cord out here and I put that on there. That way if it does come down, it's not going to come all the way down. Might give me a pickle knot, but it ain't going to cause a concussion. Alright, get back to attaching this piston to the base of the lift. You know, attaching this piston seems like the easiest thing in the world. All you do is just, you know, you got a collar like that that's going to fit onto that shaft. It's got a hole drilled all the way through everything, put the bolt through there. But it's a little confusing because this darn thing doesn't sit square. And so when you go to line this thing up, put your head down near the floor and actually look at the holes. Don't try to center the jack, you know, perpendicular to the frame. Now that it's on there, I can see that the reason they made it that way is so that this is the release pedal. If the piston was sitting perpendicular, that release pedal would be over here to the side underneath the mower. So that is a little weird right there. But anyhow, there's a tip for you. Don't worry about which way this thing's sitting. The only thing you need to worry about is to have the release pedal towards the right wheel as you're looking from the front, or the left wheel as you're standing behind the thing jacking your mower up. You want the release pedal to your left when you're actually operating it. Hope that makes sense. Okay, I got the bolt through. I'm going to put that pin back in, and you know, even though the washer was on the bolt, on the head of the bolt side, when I took that pin out, I really believe it would do better if it was on this little skinny pin side. So that's the way we're going to do this one. Okay, I'm going to get this little safety pin in that tiny keeper hole, and we'll go from there. We have the piston, or the jack, whatever you want to call that thing, attached to the base with a bolt, a little safety pin through the keeper hole on the other side of the bolt. Next thing we need to do is attach the top part of the piston to this arm. We're not going to attach it to these holes here, that's something else. But you'll see a hole on each side of the lift arm, and that's where we're going to attach that thing. It gave me a part number. I think they call it a lift arm bolt or something. I'm assuming it's this. It's the one that's got these crazy keeper clips on it. That would make sense to have these little keeper clips, spacer clips, to keep the jack from wiggling back and forth once you get it secured. So we're going to do that now. I'm just going to pop these little clips off. A little hard to do with one hand. Let me turn this camera off. I'll get these clips off, and all we're going to do after that is line the holes of the piston up with the holes on the lift arm and stick that bolt through it. Be right back. Now, I got the camera on my hat. We're just going to spread these little spacer clips out a little bit and push them right off the shaft there. I'm going to remove the safety pin. Remove one of the washers. Alright, let's see if we can thread the needle here. Oh, that was a whole lot easier than trying to do the base. That was easy as pie. Okay, same thing over here. We're going to put a washer on that end of the bolt and insert this little keeper clip through the hole on the end of the bolt. Alright, that leaves us with these two spacers. Put one on one side of the piston and one on the other. Hey, that was easy peasy. I'll tell you what ain't easy peasy is trying to get this thing to go back down. I guess when you got a heavy lawnmower on there, it'll go down. I guess this is the adjustment here. Alright, we're moving right along. We're about to run out of parts here, fellas, and I hadn't used any tool so far. Let's take a beer break. Come back and finish this thing up. You know, we're about to have this thing licked, and it hadn't been 10 minutes. When you get this far, do a little walk around and make sure that when you're standing at the back of this jack, that the release lever is on the left. That's the pedal you push to let the thing lower. When you look at the picture on the box, it could be a little misleading, you know, because you see this big pedal over here on the right. We have not yet assembled that pedal. It's sitting right here. We're going to get to that in a minute. So just make sure that your piston is positioned on the jack with the release lever to your left as you're standing behind it. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is take this big wide arm that these wheel wells attached to, and we're going to stick it through the upper part of the frame here. Oh, I see. There's a darn bolt in here. We got to remove that bolt. I'm sure it's got one of those little safety pins on the bottom of it. Yes, it do. Pull that safety pin off. Lift the bolt out. I'm going to take that washer and put it down on the safety clip side. Run that through, get the holes lined up. Oh yeah, you see right through there. Put the bolt through. And it's going to be a little hard for me to do holding my camera, but I'm going to put the washer on the end of the bolt and then the safety clip through the hole on the boat. Let me put my camera down. Maybe you'll see what I'm doing here. You know, I guess for ease, you could just put that bolt in from the bottom and put your washer on the top. I don't know if it makes any difference. But it seems to me, though, the weak link in this chain is that little tiny safety clip. If it broke, you'd lose your washer, but most likely gravity would keep the bolt in there. You know, you might not even know it was gone. All right, that seems simple enough, didn't it? Shoot, all we got to do now is put its darn shoes on, give it a tie, and a pedal. We're going to be ready to do some cranking here, short. Next thing we're going to do is grab one of these doohickeys, bracket support, slide it over this big arm, and this adjusts the width according to the distance between your two front tires on the vehicle you're going to jack up. So as you see, the bracket itself has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes, one hole in the arm of the jack itself. So, you know, if you got narrow tires, go all the way to the end. If you got a big old four-wheeler, might have to assemble that thing all the way out. For right now, I don't know how big my lawnmower is. I guess if I was smart, I would have gone over there and measured it. But heck, it doesn't take any skill to, well, I say that, I can't get this thing lined up. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't require any tools to secure that. Looks like you got these 45-degree angle pins that just drop right on in there. And that's it. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. I don't guess I need to keep the camera on for that. We're just going to repeat what we did on the right side. If you can't understand that, good luck. As you can see, we got both bracket supports attached to this lift bar, and I guess these are called wheel brackets if that's the bracket support. They got little notches, and all you do is slide them in, and they are adjustable according to how fat your tires are, you know, how wide the wheel is. If you got a 8-inch, 9-inch, 14-inch tire, you can accommodate that just by moving this in and out. That changes the distance between here and here. In other words, you want your tire to fit right into that slot. Yeah, do the same thing for the other side. I'm assuming I got that thing in there right. That makes sense to me. And then it looks like we have these rods here that would go through there, just a safety feature to keep you from losing the thing. That's what I'm going to do next, right or wrong. Well, we got these wheel brackets on there, and that leaves us with these silver rods, and they have one of those little keeper clips and a washer on each end. And we're just going to stick them through the holes on the back of this wheel bracket. Whoa, thought it was going to slide through. It's not. You got to remove both darn sides. I'm sure there was some engineering reason for that. I thought this was going to be easy. I hope I'm doing this right. Hey man. It's almost like they're too big. Let me get this thing way on in there. That's it. Yeah, what you might have to do is push your wheel bracket all the way in to give you some flexibility on these side panels. Okay, put the washer on there and the little keeper clip. I'm looking at it. I don't know if y'all can see it. I got the camera on my hat. I'll show it to you once I get it in. See there? Washer on the end of the silver shaft, and then that little keeper on there. Do the same thing on this side. So far, no tools needed. And we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. And as you remember what I said we had to do, you know, you got to get these things spread to get this little shaft in these holes. And it's hard to do if you have your wheel bracket way on out. Can't really spread it, so put that thing way on in. That'll give you some flexibility. That'll let you spread its legs. I am so curious as to why they didn't just have a shaft that would go all the way through there. I'll bet you there was some kind of lawsuit about something somewhere in the past. Some safety deal. Because it doesn't cost much to manufacture a pin like that. But to go ahead and manufacture it with the way it is, you got to put it in some kind of lathe or something to cut that shaft down. I know that costs them probably as much in labor as the whole shaft cost. Hey fellas, this is looking like almost a done deal. We got this paddle we got to put on the pump. It looks like we got two other pieces. I'm not sure what they are yet. I'm not even sure if that came with the deal. Here's some kind of pin. Yeah, we might have to read the directions to figure out what to do with that. Most likely one of them has something to do with this deal here. These holes on the lift arm. I'm beginning to think that this is probably some sort of safety feature here. So that once you got the thing jacked up, you would put that through there just in case the pneumatics failed on the piston. That would be something to stop the lift from falling all the way down on top of you. Alright, I'm going to double check on that. Don't want to give you any wrong information, but that's what makes sense to me. And I would assume that this is the pedal for the lift piston. And this just looks like something you'd put in there as a keeper clip for the handle. This is so much simpler than I thought it was going to be. All right, we'll take a break here and finish her up in just a minute. We're getting down to the final steps. We're going to put this handle on. As you can see, there's a hole that runs all the way through the shaft of this handle, and there's similar positioned holes on the upright part of the base. And I'm pretty sure that's what this little crazy bracket is for. Put the pin through there. May have to wiggle it a little bit. There we go. It's got a little keeper there. That's pretty cool. I'm sure that's for storage or something. Or maybe if you got a big four-wheeler, you might not be able to have this handle on there. Depends on how far forward the hood comes once you get the wheels in there. I don't know, but it sure looks easy enough to put on and off. You know, that's just a little spring clip there. So far, no tools required, but I'm down here to this pedal, and there's a bolt. This is the only threaded bolt I've seen on the whole kit and caboodle. It does have a hole in the shaft of the pedal. There's a hole on the receiver end of the piston. We're just going to do this hand tight for now. I really don't see that it would be a safety issue one way or the other. I mean, what's the worst that would happen if this thing fell out? It would just be, you wouldn't be able to jack it up anymore. Well, come on now. There we go. That said, you know, I don't know if there would be any real requirement to tighten that down with a wrench. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it finger tight. If they had wanted me to tighten that down with a wrench, they would have given me a wrench. Yeah, the worst that happens if that came out is that you'd lose the bolt. And there could be times when you'd want to remove that bolt. I'm looking at this now. If you were to try and store this in a different position, this pedal may get in the way. All right, I think now all we have to do is step on it, jack it up, and this would be the safety pin to go into these holes. That's what we're going to do last. Stepping on the piston pedal, the pump pedal, and you can see the lift arm is raising up into the air. Let me see if I can get you a side shot. I don't have one of them selfie poles. Okay, so I just raised it up that high to demonstrate what this pin is for. Looks to me like this is something that would go in. I don't know what that's for. Yeah, I might have to read the instructions about that. I'm sure it's got something to do with how you know, hook this thing back up. But that way, if for some reason this thing started coming down, it could not go any farther down than this safety pin. Now, what I have noticed is that once you put pressure on that safety pin, you're not going to be able to pull it out very easy. So, you know, after you're done working on your mower and you're ready to let it back down, what you're going to have to do is give this thing maybe just a little bit of a push up. How to take the pressure off your pin. All right, guys. I hope that was helpful to you. I mean, it required no real instructions. It was pretty much just common sense. The only thing I think you'd have trouble with is positioning that piston down there. Make sure the release pedal is on your left as you're standing in the operating position behind it. And just remember that you're going to install the pump pedal, the one that raises it up, on the right. So it could confuse you a little bit. This is not the pump pedal. This is the release pedal over here on the left. Other than that, I think your kids could put one of these together. All right, I appreciate you watching. You know, if you got questions, I don't know what to tell you. I don't watch YouTube on my computer. I watch it on Roku, and I can't even see any comments or anything. I mean, you're welcome to leave comments. Maybe some other viewer is interested in what you have to say. Y'all can carry on a conversation, but I'm not in a position to be answering questions. In my mind, this was all pretty much self-explanatory. And if it didn't go together for you, then I'd start over. Just play the video over again and see if maybe you made a wrong turn somewhere along the way. If it still won't go together, call Pittsburgh. There's a toll-free number. And just make sure you don't have some missing or defective part. Y'all have a good day.